Thank you.
Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Spotlight DMV, where we talk about all things Prince George's County. And it is your girl, Rose. Today's conversation is coming at an important moment. There's been a noticeable amount of transition within county leadership lately, and for many residents, that raises questions about stability, continuity, and the future of the county. The County Council recently voted unanimously to appoint Council Member Wala Blegay as Council Member at Large. We're going to talk about what that role actually means, what her focus is right now, and what residents should expect moving forward. We're not here for headlines or speculation. We're here for understanding. Council Member Blegay, welcome back to the spotlight, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. And we do appreciate all you do to highlight all the great things we have in the county. With the news roles here, sometimes there's always focus on, crime and things like that. But, we've got good things going on in the county. We appreciate your spotlight. You're helping us get the word out there.
Well, thank you so much. And a large part of what I like to spotlight as well are opportunities for the community to get involved, to get engaged, and to learn what all these things mean when transitions happen or when resources come up, when things are popping up and, it's money being put towards it. And they're like, well, where's the money coming from? And so I really want to also inspire our community members to get engaged civically. And so let's just jump right into it. For folks who may not follow the structure of county government closely, can you explain what the council member at large role is and how it differs from representing a specific district?
So when I remember when there was the whole discussion of having at large before it got to voters' door, because voters voted for at large. The bigger thing is that the it will have a council member that will focus on things that impact the entire county, as opposed because the district work can be very time consuming. From all the District 6 has a lot of development, and we just added Six Flags, but before Six Flags, you're talking about Westphalia, you're talking about Largo. There's all these other projects, home projects coming throughout the county. So you have to spend a lot of time on that and then direct constituent service. And that's really what the district member really focuses on. So some of the bigger issues that I've been focused on for a while has been the emergency room wait times, the primary care issue. We looked at some environmental issues, so electric vehicles, food is medicine, the federal workers. A lot of those things are more countywide issues, and every council member kind of touches on countywide issues, but their focus really should be their districts, which is very time consuming. But I love my district, and I do appreciate District 6 for really opening the door for me to be able to serve. And I have one of the best districts in the county, where we have not only the seat of government there, but we have what people, when they said the richest Black county, that, they were looking at a lot of the communities in my district. But the biggest things that we had, I found that when I was working on some of these countywide issues, I had limitations in just capacity. So when the opportunity opened up, and I wanted to actually run for this in last year when it opened up, but I put my name in and I took it out because of the cost that it would put for a special election. Like the special election of having to fill my seat will be more costly for the county. And in a time of a deficit, a structural deficit, I didn't think that was a good idea. But now this opportunity comes within the year of Calvin's term. And when you're after a year, then there should be an appointment. And so we went through the appointment process. And I was really impressed with a lot of the people who actually presented for the at large. We're just lucky to
Yeah.
have a very well informed community that has a very long resumes. So I definitely felt that it was really competitive, but I did feel like the work that I've already been doing has touched on this job already. I'm replacing someone who was known to be the people's champ, and Council Member Hawkins was not only known to be the people's champ, but he was an active and really, especially reentry was definitely something that he looked at in
Yeah.
some of the small business issues. So I'm taking that that baton and continue to do the championing of it. As you remember, I did State of the Power, and what we're going to do, we're actually starting with that. We're going to have town halls throughout the county, and I'm going to start my town hall down in District 9 in Brandywine, but we're going to focus on State of the Power. And State of the Power, we are going to talk about the electricity issue that we have. Bring your own generation. There's a lot of things that I learned. I had an online version of State of the Power. Now we're taking it to the community. And we're going to start in District 9, and we're going to head up the Beltway up to District 1. So we are going to be engaging community. In addition, I put out a community survey, which we're going to be putting out there. And that community survey is going to basically let people know that I want to hear from them on their concerns or what they want to do, those type of things. So that community service survey is going to give me a chance to learn beyond just District 6, because even though I've been working on countywide issues, some of the issues that impact the northern part of the county might not be issues with southern part of the county. Southern part of the
Yeah.
county, there's a huge issue when it comes to road infrastructure, right? Which is something similar to what we have here, but it's even more. They don't have as much metro there. There's a lot of stuff. So there's some things that we need to focus on, and I'm moving up and down the county. But the point is that this gives me a thing to look at the county at a very a wide range. But the hardest thing, it is hard to leave my district because we have some of the exciting projects with Westphalia. They're going to be announcing a new grocer in the next 2 months. It's just taking a little time. There's been negotiations, and because it's an NDA, I'm not part of that. But they're going to be announcing a new grocer. They're going to be in Largo. We have a new owner of the Carillon where the hospital is, and he's got some great ideas. So we want to let people know about that. And then we also have Six Flags, which we are waiting for the announcement of the new owner. And that one, I think that's more of a county-wide project, and I would definitely be involved with that along with the county executive, because that's going to be a big project that's going to restructure how people look at the county. So there's so much to talk about.
Yes, you said you gave us a whole lot, and I have a lot of that to actually talk a little bit more about. But one thing that you did mention was that you had considered running for this role previously, and so let's kind of talk about how the role fits into the moment the county is experiencing right now. And there's been, like I mentioned, a lot of transition within the county council, and some people are calling it musical chairs. And for some residents, that can feel unsettling. What would you say to community members who are concerned about stability and continuity during this period of change?
We're just at a unique time when I don't think the past council has ever dealt with a new county executive, a new U.S. senator, a new state's attorney, and then just new council members overall. This has been a unique period, so it can feel like, oh, this is just musical chairs. They're just playing musical chairs. The reality is that rarely do people just give up their positions and walk away. There's always a reason, as you heard from Council Member Hawkins.
Yeah.
He's dealing with his mom. There was a unique issues with Council Member Mel Franklin. Aisha was elevated. Tara Jackson got into state's attorney. I mean, this is unprecedented. You're not gonna. The next 4 years won't be like this, possibly. So with that, but you know what? Let me just say this: when people say unprecedented times, the reality is that in the state they've been doing appointments for a long time. The state, they said that around a third of the state representatives are appointed. So since I've been around, at least in the last 10 years, I've watched almost all of these senators. I mean, look at District 22, District 24,
Yeah.
District, I mean, 2025, District 27 now, all have new senators all through appointments. Most of the delegates that have come in those districts have been all through appointments. And so the state is, is people are used to it, but it's also not as visible as council. People know that council members better than they know their state representatives. So I get that. But here's what I will say. I think if there was a time for change, this is perfect because you're dealing with a new regime coming in. I mean, most of the council members that are on the council now, but even beyond this appointment, we're all pretty new. Most of us now they said that is a millennial change. There's more millennials in office than before. You got a new county executive, and this is at the time where the county is taking a transition. We have lost Six Flags. So now we're looking at what we're going to do at Six Flags, which could define the county. We're looking at the loss of the Commander. So what are we going to do with the Commander
Yeah.
Stadium? And then we're also get facing the attack of federal workers. So one of the biggest things that we're talking about at the county level is how do we rebrand the county? Because if we can't rely on the federal government, if the federal government becomes attacked, we do need to get ourselves known in other industries that will help us thrive in the most difficult time. So we're all looking at all of these things now. So it is actually great that we have new leadership, because new leadership can look at this, which is going to what comes at Six Flags, what comes at the Commanders, what industries we embrace, whether it's quantum, whether there's some industries that we're looking at. Tech is something I started the AI task force. This is going to define what the county is going to look like for the next 20 to 30 years. Just as the Wayne Currys of the world really transformed the county. I mean, you think about it, 30 years ago, this county was looking at coming from a rural county to a wealthy, a rural white county to a wealthy African American affluent county. I mean, this was from the 70s to the 90s. You saw tremendous change that you almost didn't even recognize the place that you were. We're at that point now. It's a transition. And with this transition, there's all new leadership. So this is an exciting time. When the Six Flags was first announced, I was scared because it came out of nowhere. We did not plan it. And this wasn't the only place they were closing. They closed a place in California. And from what we hear, there'll be other closures. But the reality is that this opened up a door that I never thought that I would have to look at. So I was scared at first, but then I thought about it and said, "Wow, this is an opportunity," because an opportunity means that we can look at what this will look like in the future, and that's critical.
I love that outlook, looking at challenges as an opportunity. And, with this particular position and a lot of the ones where people have been appointed lately, it is finishing out a term, which means that the timeline is shorter than what you would have had if it was a full term. And so, how does that shape your approach and focus to getting things done?
Well, I would say this. I have work to do to hit the ground running. That's why we're starting next month doing District 9 and up, because I'm introducing myself to people that might not know me, that might not know the great work that I've done in District 6. And I'm dealing with people that are like, what's going to happen with our district? And I want to assure them I'm still a council member. So I'm still going to be working, helping out with District 6. Maybe we won't be doing direct constituent service in a way that we're going to give that to the district rep, because that is what they do. But I mean, District 6 is where I live. So that is going to be continue to be something that I make sure they are being heard. But what I want people to know is we've already been working on many of these issues that are hitting the county as a whole. And frankly, it kind of frees me, because when I did the work, I would have all these people contacting me from other districts, 4, 1, 2, 3. And sometimes be like, well, I got, you got to talk to your council representative. Now, as at large, I can freely tell them I'm going to do. So my point now is to introduce myself to the entire county and let them see the work that I've done, and I'm a hard worker, and that is why I've been able to at least get name recognition. And it's not just because of putting my name out there. It's been my advocacy. It's been the policies that we brought forth that's gotten my name out there. So that's why I was voted by all of my colleagues, because they know my work. And this wasn't some sort of fixed deal or anything. I literally was able to, convince people because of the work that they've seen me do. And
And
that
of
speaks for my work.
Yes, and I'm a District 6 resident myself. And so selfishly, for residents who may be feeling uncertain about what the transition means for who is now going to fill the vacancy of the District 6 seat, how is that being handled as far as making sure there's continuity in the things that you were working on? And, with you being at large, I'm sure you can help with that transition.
Yeah.
But right now, it's really all eyes on District 6 because of some of the larger projects that are being called out, like Northwest Stadium, as you've mentioned, and Six Flags. And so, what does that mean for us and for me and
Right.
for who's coming in next?
And this is no fixed deal. I have not anointed anyone. That I do have some community members I do know that are interested in that. We encourage everybody to apply. I think that I want it to be a fair process. When this was no when I put my name in, I want to make sure that other people felt that they had the fair chance of going in. And so with this one, this is an open process and we encourage everyone to apply. I really will work with whoever is selected to make sure that the district is taken care of. Like I'm still on the council, so this is be a concern of mine and I'm going to make sure of it.
And so, moving on to some of the priorities that residents are concerned about, like again, Six Flags and Northwest Stadium, and grocery access in some communities. You mentioned Westphalia and some grocers coming, and you even mentioned Caroline and having a new owner and some movement on that. And these are all projects that you have been very instrumental in making sure that your constituents were informed about. And it doesn't just affect District 6, even though it was in our district. It affects the health of the economic stability of the county. So talk to us a bit about those projects that you were working on and what that's now going to look like since you are in an at-large role.
Well, I will start off with Six Flags because that's probably the most notable one. Right now, there's an NDA process that the both parties have to go through for negotiations. It's owned by Six Flags, so Six Flags controls that. So we don't have any control. But what we did do is I opened myself up to anybody who was open to bid to come and talk to me about what we wanted to see. What people don't realize is that Six Flags they only use 150 acres of their land, of the 500 acres. And so they really didn't use full land. And to be honest, that was about 70 employees and about 70 employees and only about $3 million in income for the county revenues. Now, not that 3 million is nothing because it is something.
Yeah.
However, think about the fact that if you go down to National Harbor, you're talking about $73 million in revenues with only 250 acres of usage. So we need to really activate that area. And now it will be activated because it's going to be, I don't know because I'm not part of the negotiation process, but that's a pretty expensive deal. And when you have an expensive deal like that, the person that comes in is going to activate that whole area. What we did realize with some of the proposals is that we made sure that there needed to be some sort of amusement or attraction that could get, make people drive in from exit 15 in, much like Six Flags. So they agreed that they would be that, but they also what we're trying to figure out what will be the other acreage of use, because of the 500 acres, maybe 400 acres of that is actually you can build on, and that's what we're trying to figure out, and that's what we would determine who wins it, and by then we would get what their other part. It could be from science. There's been high tech science that was suggested. There was even more of industrial. There's also been home suggested. I know people don't like the idea of that, and I don't like the idea of that either. We really need to focus on expanding the commercial tax base, and I will say in that area there's already housing, so we really don't need housing, but we want to see what the proposal is. And I will say that we did make it clear to Six Flags what we wanted. So they said that the top people that they've picked have fallen in line with at least that amusement area option. Will it be now? What's clear is that it most likely would not be an amusement park. That it looks like there's something going on in that industry, and they're saying that it won't be an amusement park, but it will be something. But they could be something similar, but not. It won't be Disney World.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we do need to see what the balance is, and I will hope working with whoever takes over to make sure because the county executive is more committed to that because that's a regional project, that would have that type thing. So I'm definitely going to be no matter what very much involved with that because I'm still on the council no matter what. And I will say that we are waiting for the new owner to be announced. That has to happen first. What happens is that people are like, "Oh, what's going on?" It's like you got announced. They announced to you all that it was going to close 6 months before it closed. So now that it's closed, they're finishing negotiations, and those things take time.
And you mentioned also Caroline. When can
Yes.
we expect to hear a little more information about that or see some movement there?
Probably early next year. The new owners are coming in. They're trying to do some make some changes to the plans, and they do have some very cool options that they're bringing in. They're meeting with leasing. Their leasing team is meeting with different stores and everything to see what comes, and there will be a high end apartment, a hotel, all of those things. The biggest issue with development is that it just doesn't take. It's just not quick. It just not
Yeah.
quick. You can start talking about something and you probably won't see the groundbreak until 4 or 5 years from now, or the actions of it. Everything takes a lot to move a project. And once it's done, then, they say that Wayne Curry was the one who really worked with the developer Peterson to do National Harbor, but it was Jack Johnson that broke ground. You know what I mean? Like it was not his, Wayne wasn't in office because it takes a long time. So that it's been frustrating for me. I mean, even with Westphalia, when us talking about, we had went from no retail to a grocer that was basically confirmed. But when we're waiting for the grocer to be confirmed, but they are negotiating and it's taking months, and that is nothing I can do about it. So
Yeah.
but we also have other projects. Caroline is got some fun stuff going. They really got. I'm excited about some of the initial meetings that they're having with people. There's some upskill folks that if it works out, it would be beautiful. So I'm just prayers that everything works out. It's just that the council is not involved with those negotiations. It's really money. That's a money talk. Um, but then we also have a lot of things off the Blue Line corridor that we're looking at from Addison Road to Capitol Heights. We've got Glenwood Hills where we're going to be having some multi units and grocery store and retail. We have all of these things coming, and when they all come, it's going to transform the area. But again, with the development, it's a waiting game, and that's the most
Ye-
frustrating thing about development.
Yes, and I've been a part of some of the discussions for the plans about things coming along the Blue Line corridor and taking part in meetings where they're asking the community to give their input. What do you want to
Um,
see? And what type of parks, what type of structures, if there is housing, how should the housing look? So that's been interesting for me to also navigate as a community resident, and I do see the timelines on there, and I'm like, my gosh, am I still gonna be
no,
alive?
it takes a long time, and this is something I have to get used to because I was a practicing attorney before, but I did not do a lot of work, and I didn't do a whole lot of work when it comes to development until really this job. So now I've learned quite a bit, and the time it takes for you to see there are things that started before I got in office that are now we're breaking ground on.
Yeah. And so beyond the development projects, there's also the very real impact on people and households across the county. Prince George's County is home to a large number of federal workers and contractors. And this is something people are especially concerned about right now, where not even a full year into this new federal administration, and as you mentioned earlier in the conversation, government and federal workers have been under attack. And you have been very vocal about that and about how we need to take care of our residents here locally. And so, what have you been seeing and hearing from your constituents regarding what they're dealing with? And how does the at large role allow you to advocate for them differently, if it does at all?
Well, I would say this. We have to work with our federal delegation to see what we can do to, first of all, get our federal workers back in office, back into their positions. Some has been reinstated, but some have not. There's been massive layoffs that are really just really those agencies are not even functioning right now. So we're looking at that. There's been lawsuits working, and we've been in contact and had meetings with Attorney General Anthony Brown on lawsuits there. We're still trying to fight to get our FBI back. The reality is that there are a couple things we have to realize. We really want to be able to get that FBI. That FBI will be another game changer in the Greenbelt area where you already have NASA, you already have the Fort Meade part. So it's almost like a triangle, and then we're close to where we're doing the Discovery District in College Park. So you have all of that in one area. It's transformative. It is transformative. So we wanted, I mean, what Montgomery County did with the FDA being there, and NIH, and they use that as the biotech corridor. And the
Yeah.
reality is that they're known for that. That's become their branding. We can do the same with getting the FBI here. So we really just have to keep fighting on that. And then one of the things we have to do, start to pivot on, is what other industry that we can define in Prince George's County beyond just the federal workforce, because that's what we're known for: federal workforce, federal contractors. Our businesses are often federal contractors. Our residents are usually federal workers, and so we do need to build another industry that we can embrace and can be a part of us. I mean, quantum is coming, is here already. We're the home
Yeah.
of quantum, and we need to fully embrace that and almost put it there, and then get AI involved, and then we can be another Silicon Valley. But we definitely, that's one of the conversations we've had with the EDC and the Economic Development Corporation about, is about implementing a process that would allow these allow new industries to come to Prince George's County. And that would help where our federal workers are laid off and we have somewhere that they can be placed, because it's been difficult. Some people have to take on entrepreneurship. We have EDC working on helping with entrepreneurship, which we should all be involved with. Really, we should have different streams of income. And we actually realize this is a thing when we talk about wealth in Prince George's County. We always focus in on wealth being defined by a job. But the truth
Yeah.
is, we have to re-strategize and focus in on generational wealth. You can't take a job and pass it on. You can't even keep it. And if you had it 40 years, you can be let go and left with unpaid bills. So we do want to start encouraging more entrepreneurship. But we also find that a lot of federal workers are having to take jobs that are taking a substantial pay cut because they don't simply cannot get a job within the range that they made in the federal government. So that's why we really need to look at building a new industry.
And I know that statewide, Governor Moore has been, he has focused on quantum as one of his priorities, as one of the priorities of the state of Maryland. And I have heard every room that I have been in when they are talking about the future of Maryland, every single person that is in charge of an agency in Maryland has talked about quantum. And so
Right.
to have that area in College Park that you mentioned, that is the
Mhm.
discovery area that is already focused on that. We're already steps ahead in that game, and so I'm excited to see what's going to come for us in the county from that focus already. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
and so, with all of these issues in play, people often want to know how they can actually engage and be heard. And how do you see your office serving and responding to residents countywide in this at large role? And how can people stay engaged?
So we have the community survey that we're going to be sending out, and this is going to be, we're going to mail it out. We're going to get people out, because what we want to do is hear from people on what the issues that impact them, and then what we're asking everyone to fill this out. We're going to send out the link. I'll send you the link, and it's a Bitly link that we have. Is going to be on our website, and then what we want people to do is fill this out. Let us know what their issues are, because as we do this town halls, we're going to be focused. We don't. I'm not going to do as many general town halls. We're going to make them focused because we have some key issues that need to be addressed and we would like them to be focused on. So we would encourage people to fill out the survey, get involved, let us know what their issue is, and we'll go on from there.
And so before we close out, I want to address the question that's on many people's minds as we look ahead. In November 2026, every seat on the county council, including the county executive seat, will be on the ballot. Some leaders are term limited, others will be incumbents. For residents, that raises an important question about governing versus campaigning. So, from your perspective, how do you think about your responsibility in this current role, doing the work of governing while knowing the county is also heading into a major election cycle?
Well, I'm going to keep doing what I've done. My district has been really happy with my resident representation. I've heard a lot from people saying, thank you for keeping us informed. Thank you for hearing us and addressing some of our issues. We're just going to keep doing what we're already doing. Like I said before, my work speaks for itself. I feel very confident that my work feet speak for themselves. And for those that don't know me, there's always going to be some person that's going to say, oh, what has she done? Is this musical chairs? Does she have all this stuff? But the reality is that nothing is going to stop the work that I'm doing for the county. I've been doing it already and I want to keep to do it. I've been ready to serve from day one and I'm going to continue to serve.
I absolutely love that. And the one thing that I have loved about your leadership is the keeping us informed. You are always ready to speak to your constituents. And that's how you and I met, because I would show
Right.
up and I would just come and ask you questions. And
Right.
there
Right.
was never a time where I felt that you were dismissive or didn't want to answer, or even if you didn't know, you would say you don't know. And so I
Right.
really appreciate that about you. And so, what do you want to leave with the residents across Prince George's County to feel confident about in these times of transition?
Well, I would say this. My door has always been open. One of the things when I was running for my position that I'm just leaving, one of the things that people said to us is that we don't know what's going on. And that's the biggest issue. That's why your work has been really critical, because there is so much actually going on in Prince George's County, but nobody knows about it, right? And then
Mhm.
everybody finds out all the bad stuff. Oh, the school system is bad. This person got killed. This person. But there are all these good things happening, or things that are happening on their behalf that they don't know about. So we're actually saying, okay, if you don't know, you're now going to know. And we're putting that out there. And that's what I've been about, getting people information while actually working on the issues. So we're heading to each community. We're going to let people know and let people understand what's going on and how we can make sure that they feel engaged.
Well, Councilwoman Blegay, thank you for bringing clarity, transparency, and perspective to a moment when people are looking for reassurance and leadership. And to everyone
Yeah.
watching, staying informed and engaged is how we build stability, even during times of change. This is the Spotlight. And until next time, see you guys.